As far back as I can remember, watching my dad work in the garage with his cars, and from the time I could speak, I think one of my first words was "vroom vroom." Certainly because my dad being in the garage all the time at our family house. As much as I was around racing all my life, I still wanted to be a boy. I still, rode my motorcycles and my bicycles and did all the skateboarding and all the things that kids do at a young age. But not until I was about 14 years old did I say, I really like this, and I'm going to dedicate more of my time to this, help my dad more and more and more. And the more I helped my dad, the more I got interested in it, and the more I said, I want to do this someday. And a day came along when I said to my parents that I'd like to race cars for a living, and they told me that I was crazy because not many people raced cars for a living back in the 70s and 80s. So they said pretty much good luck because there's not many people doing that at that time. All in all, there's not one particular story. It's just racing with my dad at a young age and just being there and being at all these different racetracks all over the country, one on Friday night, one on Saturday night, one on Sunday, and driving home all night Sunday night to get home and have to go to school on Monday. That was an every weekend thing for Darrell, Gwynn, and family. Well, I didn't necessarily realize it at the time, but there's a picture hanging on the wall here at my office of me signing an autograph for a young man in a wheelchair, and not knowing that, I would be in a wheelchair, a couple months after that, was, has now turned out to be an incredible picture of me, signing that autograph, and it was just a couple months before my accident. I was in a different predicament than most. I had a lot of support from a lot of great family, friends, fans, and most importantly, my beautiful wife, Lisa, who's been with me by my side since then, prior to then, and as we sit here today, she's been there for me, and here she is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was a very hands-on person my racing days, and to be able to not touch and feel the race car and drive it was a challenge for me, just like the daily living was for me, going from walking to not walking, going from driving the race car to having to tell people what to do. That's still to this day a big challenge for me because I was always a hands-on guy. But I've learned to adapt, and hence then started the Darrell Gwynn Foundation with my wife and I.
Well, I think that one of the reasons why we felt it important to recognize spinal cord injury was our experience in rehab centers, our own personal experience. There was a lot of kids that suffered spinal cord injuries that were between the ages of 17 and 23, young people. And we wanted to start a prevention initiative to try and prevent those types of injuries from happening. So we thought that the best approach would be to have a statewide effort to both recognize those patients that do suffer with spinal cord injury and also educate the public on ways to prevent them from happening in the first place.
Spinal cord injuries can happen to anyone at any time, so but teenage groups is a good place to start.
What are you most proud of?
I'm proud that after 10 years that we have done a lot of great things. Florida Spinal Cord Injury Awareness Week being one of them. All the great support we've got from our donors, all the people that we've helped because of the donors. When you can change someone's life like this wooden wheelchair over here, and knowing that kid was sitting in that wooden wheelchair, to go from that to a motorized chair that we provided, to me that's like back in the day when I was winning a race, and you hold the trophy up in the air and you just won the race. That was a pretty cool feeling, but this is like way cooler than that when you know that you've changed somebody's life. So it's hundreds of those moments at the Darrell Gwynn Foundation because we've given away hundreds of chairs, approximately 300 to date, power wheelchairs. So I've won 28 national events, as you can see behind me, which is really nothing in comparison to the hundreds of wheelchairs that we've been able to donate.
Well, I think also, I feel like, and we feel like, you know, what happened to Darrell was devastating to us. And to be able to turn something so horrible in our lives into something so positive and who has touched something that's touched so many lives now, it's really a blessing to us to be able to help others and make something good out of something that was really, really devastating to us. The tone of our video, which is part of our education program, is very much geared towards that age group. The title of the video is "It Could Happen to You." And it's basically 5 young people that all suffered spinal cord injuries from just making one wrong decision.
In various accidents.
From diving into a canal out of a tree, playing with their dad's gun in their own home, not wearing their seatbelt, falling asleep at the wheel. Things like this that are something that happens to many teenagers. I can't say that most teenagers, but to many teenagers, they are faced with these types of decisions
daily,
on a regular basis or even daily. And that the message is that 1 second can change your life forever. And that's the story that we heard over and over again in our own experience with others in rehab centers that suffered spinal cord injuries.
I wish I had that 1 second to make that decision a little bit differently. Now, I got hurt in a race car, but you know, spinal cord injuries can happen to anybody. You know, I didn't have that 1 second, but most of the public does when they make irrational decisions about diving out of a tree 35 feet in the air. You know, should I do this? And that's what we're trying to get people to do, is just think 1 second before they jump, or when they get in their car, or when they're drinking and driving, or texting and driving.
We don't want to take away anything from their experience with sports, but what we do want to do is to try to make it as safe as possible. And I think there's a big effort now underway with reducing concussions and head and neck injuries as a result of injuries suffered in sports. So we don't want to take that experience away from young people, but at the same time, I think all of us as a nation need to be looking at ways to make it safer and to be more aware of the consequences of not having safe equipment on our children.
You know, I aspire to have this place a very efficient, well-oiled machine that is in a new, beautiful building that my daughter can someday, you know, come to, and when Lisa and I may be gone, and say, this is what my parents built.
Watching somebody that you love very deeply go through, you know, the initial injury and the suffering and seeing, you know, what's ahead and not knowing what's ahead is something that we'll never forget. You know, it was uncertain whether or not he would survive or not survive the accident, and basically we had to live hour to hour, then day to day, then week to week. We would look forward to when he would make his first, you know, be able to feed himself, and then the next step was to be able to write. So in the beginning, you know, those are the accomplishments and the things that you celebrate. But as time goes on, and you realize that, okay, this is our new life, you know, both of us were very young when it happened. We were very much in love, and, you know, we had our whole lives ahead of us. So, you know, thankfully, we're both very positive, spirited people, and we have really good senses of humor, and we felt very deeply for each other, and we just got through it day by day. And as time went on, it was like, okay, this is our life. This is it. And we have to create a new life for ourselves. So, you know, what started as a tragic thing slowly started to evolve into something positive and, you know, reasons to live. So, you know, the fact that where we are today, having an organization that we can in turn help others that are going through the same experience as we have, you know, again, we've tried to turn our experience into something positive and to give people hope that life is going to get better for them. And we have gone on to build a wonderful foundation that helps others. I was able to go back to medical school and become a pediatrician, and he he's able to fish and do the other things that he loves to do. We have a beautiful 14-year-old daughter that we were able to have. So life is good for us. So it's important for us to share that with others, we feel, because it is a devastating thing that really nobody can understand unless they've gone through it. So Katie has never known anything other than our situation. We're just now getting into the whole thing with, she was conceived through the fertility program at the Miami Project to cure for paralysis. So, we're kind of going through those steps of explaining to her, how she was conceived and, all of that, but it's basically all she's ever known, that her dad is disabled, and we've always had this organization that helps others, and she really is just a normal kid, which we really couldn't have asked for a better, a better situation. She's healthy, has a wonderful spirit, she's just a normal kid, and in all the abnormal things that have happened in our lives, it's just really nice to just have that sense of normalcy of raising a typical teenage daughter. If we can grow this organization into something that could basically continue to leave a legacy in people's lives, to help more people, to be synonymous with spinal cord injury education and prevention, if we can accomplish that, I think we've hit a home run.
We've accomplished so much in the time that we've been here that we're so proud of, that if we continue on this path with the great donors that we've surrounded ourselves with, and the niche that we have in helping others, that I spoke of earlier, that we're so proud of, I think we're on the right track.
And I have to say that most of our success has really come from people that are inspired by Darrell's strength and all that he's overcome, and the fact that he makes this look very easy, and believe me, it's not easy. And people really connect with Darrell because he's still Darrell, and that was one of the things that we felt so lucky and happy about after his accident, was that he was still Darrell, and he's still very much approachable, and you don't even think about the wheelchair. You forget that he's in a wheelchair. And so for us, that I think that's something, a part of what we do, why it's been so successful, is because they really are inspired by Darrell's strength and all that he's been able to accomplish despite all the adversity that he's encountered.
There's certainly hope. Spinal cord injuries, man, they just, it changes everything, including your family, everything around you, your surroundings, everything. It's just, it is one of those devastating injuries, and there is hope. There's hope from a cure standpoint. There's hope that from a quality of life standpoint. No matter how bad you are, there's always somebody worse.
Well, and I think the other message is that, as bad as you think life is at the moment, it will get better. And you just have to take minute by minute, day by day, and eventually life will get better, and you will have a quality of life to be able to enjoy your family and your friends and carry on. Well, we have a lot of information in terms of resources for not just medical equipment, but also for family support. There is a network of organizations across the country that are able to help with the unique needs of the spinal cord injured community, because as Darrell said, every case is different. Everybody's injury is unique and different. The consequences of those injuries for each individual physically are different. So we do have basically a list of resources for depending on what your needs are. that you could go to our website.
Florida Spinal Cord Injury Awareness Week is exactly what I hoped it would be for the Darrell Gwynn Foundation. We are going to fulfill every part of our mission. We are going to have fun doing it, and we're going to get a lot of exposure that week, and we're going to have a fundraiser that week at Homestead Miami Speedway with our Hot Rods and Reels event. And every car that races at Homestead Miami Speedway will have our logo on it for that weekend. And on Saturday, one car will have our entire paint scheme on his car, Joey Coulter, for Saturday's race at Homestead Miami Speedway. So we are just going to have a great time helping people. And where else can you do that? It's fun. We're going to spend over $100,000 next week buying wheelchairs for those in need, but we're going to have fun doing it. I'd like to thank Ion South Florida for being there for Florida Spinal Cord Injury Awareness Week. It was a great ride.